Hello.
Oh,
Let me see if
Hello.
I can figure out how to let Marsh in. Okay. Can you hear me all right?
yes.
Yes.
Great. All right. So it's been a wild ride today, but we are almost on the finish line. So just a few more interviews to go, and obviously this panel discussion. So we had a lot of fun in the morning discussing some of the aspects of our life and how we're adapting to the new normal. Most of you had an opportunity to speak up, but not everybody. I think Derek missed out. And perhaps there will be some more folks joining us in. Well, before we go any further, do you guys have any questions or comments or requests? Oh, hello, Nancy.
Hi, I made it. Okay.
Yeah, I'd just like to put forward that normal is highly overrated.
Normal is highly overrated. That is a
Yes.
brilliant statement. So what do you
Can I
do? You can actually just put them in this box.
Thank you so much.
Let's try it again.
Sorry.
No, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Good.
All right. So what do you mean by that? That the normal is overrated, Derek?
Well, change is a constant state in the world. So being in the flow requires constant change. And if you hit normal, it kind of implies that it's static.
That's an interesting point, which is something that we actually touched upon earlier today when I basically said that, look, maybe the new normal is not going to be a static. Maybe the new normal is going to be a constant exploration of what it's like to reinvent yourself. What is it like to be more adapting to the new changes? So basically, that's what I was meaning to introduce as a new normal. So thank you so much for bringing it up. Now, do you have any ideas or thoughts about what this kind of new state of flow might be like?
You know, good question. Different. I think the whole concept of being together in large groups, particularly where you're touching each other, is changing in many places. I don't know if that's ever going to go back to the way it was. It may require a more smaller, intimate settings for that kind of activity.
Yeah. So obviously that's a challenge in terms of adapting to the new social distancing ideas. Not everybody is going to be socially distancing. There were some people, even in the midst of the pandemic, who were congregating in large numbers. And even recently, there was a bunch of people arrested in Florida for going to the beach. And I think they were mostly younger kids, like going on spring break. Yeah,
That's
they
crazy. I'm in Idaho, and it is pretty close to normal here now. There are very few places that have strict restrictions. You're seeing large gatherings of people without a lot of protective gear, and you know, they're not dying in droves. The hospitals are doing just fine.
Yeah.
So I feel kind of lucky in that count that I'm not in that field of paranoia.
Yeah, instead of paranoia, we are exploring pronoia.
But you know, I missed this morning because my phone decided to expire today. And I've got to go get a new phone, which I'm going to go get an Apple phone, which requires driving to Spokane, which is in Washington.
Oh,
And
so you're gonna
they're
go
really
to,
sticklers there on, we can't help you set up your phone because we can't have too many people in the store, and we have to have pre-made appointments so we can control traffic. And it's funny, I can just walk into the store up on the corner here, and you walk in just like it was a normal day, but just crossing the border, it's like going into a different world.
yeah.
States of consciousness. It's a state of consciousness.
different
Jeff.
state.
Different state
Yes.
of consciousness.
State of unconsciousness.
Well, and in addition to that, of course, we are learning how to deal with different states of consciousness also, because there's so much more paranoia in the media, in politics, in all kinds of issues related to just simply fear mongering on one hand. And a lot of people, for example, are kind of conflicted about whether or not to even take or accept vaccinations. Getting vaccinated is a question for many folks. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I personally am not vaccinated, and I'm not in a hurry to get vaccinated. Do you have any opinions
too.
or perspectives?
Yeah,
You second
yeah,
that?
I do think I have an opinion about it, like everyone else can have one, right? So
Absolutely.
I do think that everyone has their own choice to make. Usually, I have not been vaccinated for many, many times. I only noticed going lastly to the dentist, I mean, a couple of, maybe a month ago, which I haven't done either for a while, right? So realizing that I have even trouble with responding to the chemicals put in to numb my teeth. And my body is acting wildly on those things. And I thought, probably I'm not normal to the medical society. Maybe I'm more normal to nature, what built me up with my immunity. And I do think I think it was said by Christian Woods this morning, when he said that there's even now, I have heard this in the BBC as well. There is a case, I don't remember the details, but the person had cancer growth a lot in the belly area, as I remember correctly. Don't hold me onto it. But anyway, so he got into the issue of retrieving corona. And so they treated him. And because they treated him, he went back to the doctor later on. And what they realized is that together with all that treatment, all his cancer has been shrunk. Sweet. I mean, just by nature, just thinking of it, I mean, when this all came along, nature is never against itself. I mean, it's never against doing something harmful for you. So when we live with nature in harmony, what, in my opinion, with my observation happens is you grow with that. So if there's somehow species growing up, then you grow with that. If you're in nature, if you're not so much in contact with, I have seen that people are not responding so well with their immune system, and then they have more trouble. I cannot put this all over one comb, right? So don't get me wrong on that. There are people, they came in with certain weaknesses, and everyone has to make their own call. But I do think as more as we grow together with nature, understanding that this body is of a nature body, right? That is the exact subject, that's the object. We are different in that way. So, so far, I love the situation, how it comes along, because now we all have to wake up a little bit. I got shaking through the whole situation, and no doubt. I have to go more on my toes and rethink what I'm holding on to. What's the pattern I'm following along unconsciously? And now it's coming more up because everyone is more agitated. And so I'm also asked to look at what I'm believing in, and it's realizing it's a thought. It's a thought. you
Well,
know?
yeah. So becoming
then-
more clear about your values makes you actually more intelligent about your choices.
Yes.
Becoming more clear about what you believe in also informs your actions. And hopefully, if your actions are in alignment with your values,
That needs to come more in
you're
alignment.
living on purpose.
Yes. So my alignment would be, I do align more with my whole life, more with a natural way. I am not against, absolutely not against it. People are getting vaccinated since everyone's call, right? So I do support them if they feel empowered to that. I would not say that's wrong or it's bad, because what are you doing is you're holding on that concept that something is bad. No. If it helps them, to relax a little bit more and to know they did something that they decided, then it's okay, I guess.
As long as
Yeah.
we are stuck in this paradigm of thinking that there are good things and that there are bad things,
Yeah.
as long as humanity is stuck in this dualistic black and white perception of reality, it's going to continue suffering. It's been suffering for millennia, ever since the Sule philosophy of dualism, probably promulgated initially by the Zoroastrians, who believed in this perennial struggle between the forces of good and evil.
We grew out of that.
They basically also influenced all the organized religions. And now we begin to understand how dysfunctional this belief is, and basically how much suffering it has caused. Most of the human suffering throughout its history has been caused by this belief in good and bad. And so the more we expand beyond this box into the world of relating to everything as energy and being able to feel energy resonance, the less likely we'll be suffering from this point on. Not like
Yeah,
we're
I
going
mean-
to continue quit suffering completely. I'm sure there's going to be still some suffering, but it's going to be a lot more optional.
Yes, I mean, what I realized by going more inside is that I found the places within myself that was resonating with that side and resonating with that side. So I found my inner war through that, right? So, and then the weird thing starts to happen is that you start to get actually in a conversation with your internal parts, so to speak. I mean, there's parts work. I really think that has a valuable place. And I mean, when you have more access to that, you start to listen to it. So then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm listening to it. I'm not this nor that. So I'm that neutral point that can see all of that. So how am I bringing now help to the parts that belong to me? I do think that is missing. That this integration process we are going in is like where my heart is going. So it's like, you're not bad and you're not good. You're not right, you're not wrong. It is that there's different perspective. They have their function, but maybe on the, holding on to beliefs, they are not helping in this process. They come from our, how we have been growing up, how we perceive things, how we went through our childhood. Those are not always correct. And so in this way, when you go more inside, you listen to your own parts, you hear how diversive they are, right? So and then you probably have more access to the solution, which is always coming from a more neutral point. What you teach in the center.
As a matter of fact, we have a practice.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
a special practice specifically designated to help resolve this kind of internal conflicts. It's called the practice harmonizing polarities. And it's a brilliant, a really simple and really elegant practice. It's probably outside of the scope of our panel discussion tonight, but something that I'm definitely going to invite all our viewers to find out about. Just simply connect with me and I will be happy to introduce you to it, or get in touch with any of our panelists. And speaking of panelists, does anyone have anything else to say about what we're talking about? Please
I do.
do share.
Hi,
Yeah.
Derek.
I think that there's a really bright side to this pandemic, in an odd way. It's kind of a slap in the face to this dualism that we're talking about, because you see, as these restrictions and social distancing go into place, it's a very unhuman thing not to be around people and not to touch and not to break bread with people and hug people. And there's a lot of benefit to those activities, to our psyche, to our endorphins. And it's amazing when you see that shift from going into this pandemic, people start getting depressed and withdrawn. And when they come out and they get to be with people and sit at a table full of friends again and drink and break bread and shake hands and hug, the amazing relief that brings to their being. And it's a very superficial way to say that, but or to experience that, I think, but it's a way that most people can comprehend, because they've seen this. Oh, this is bad. Don't do this. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to do that. Then they watch that go away and they're like, why were we doing that? That was crazy,
Right. Yeah, of course. And sooner or later, this pandemic is going to be over, and we'll be looking at this time as like, wow, that was a weird year when we weren't really in touch with each other very much. So the question is, are we capable of getting in touch with ourselves? If we're not touching others, can we at least get in touch with our own nature? Also, can we explore more of the nature outside instead of being cooped up or feeling like we can't go anywhere? Well, nature at large is an excellent place to go to. And so
Yeah.
this is something that I definitely encourage everyone to explore more of. And I'm pretty certain that you guys feel somewhat in alignment with that, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's what's coming to the fore to me is nature is very important in getting grounded, but the social aspect of our nature as human beings is also very important. It's really interesting to see that stark difference of not having that and having that, and how it affects people.
Yeah.
I
Did
think
any
one
of
of the
you
key-
experience any type of emotional or psychological challenges or mental challenges throughout the past year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Who is it? There's someone who's trying to, is it you, Marsha?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
okay.
go for it. Someone's
What I was going to say was kind of a reflection off of Simone, which what I hear is the process of discernment. Because every time somebody asks me, have I had my shots or what am I doing about that? I'm reminded to listen to myself, to my inner voice. And I've kind of got a new rule of thumb. It's what does the first 3 seconds tell me? Because 4 seconds and 5 seconds, it starts to be left brain analytical jibber jabber brain stuff, right? First 3 seconds, my body says, no, not now. That's what I'm honoring, okay? And if it's sometime in the future, and I won't predict a yes or a no, but if my body says, yeah, you should really do this, I'll honor that it showed up right there. Like this became that in my face as a yes. So the practice that we have all been touching on of feeling energy, becoming aware of your own internal energy, and you have to learn to recognize it, because that little inner voice has always been there for me. And because I lived in a world of people who don't get the world of energy arts, that was not, invited to grow. So it gets tamped down. You don't listen to it. And then I realized, my little inner voice is pretty darn accurate, and it talks a lot. In those first 3 seconds, I have a lot of feedback that I have just been shoving away. So this is an opportunity to really test it, to accept it, to be with it, because all of us could go on and on and on with lots of words about the pandemic and Corona and the science and the whatever, but what's the first 3 seconds tell you? Because I think that's where we live, that intuitive, in the moment, right here. We know what our body's calling for, or wanting to hold us away from. And then we can be with that, that,
Yeah, that's brilliant. And at the same time, also, it's important to remember that not every 3-second rule should be followed, because many people have a reaction that kind of is at the tip of their tongue, so to speak. The first thing that comes out of their mouth often is reactionary. If they could give it a little bit of thought, or if they could just simply get centered and feel, well, how would I respond to this instead?
yeah, I think it's that centering moment that you have to bring yourself to, that reactionary conversation is 3 seconds to it, like this, and then they were in reaction. They were already tuned up and their mouth was ready to run with all the pre-practiced, pre-programmed thoughts that they've probably repeated already 4,000 times in the last, 5 hours, if not to others, to themselves. They're just reactionary with it. But that quiet, like the middle of the yawn moment, where there's just like no other thought happening. How long does that last? 3-5 seconds? That's the moment. You're feeling what's right there. That's the piece of nature I think we've lost touch with, is that our body is communicating to us all the time. And I am certainly evidence that I don't always listen.
Well,
I like that.
practice.
Okay. And I'm learning to practice it. So, the answer to the question of what do we feel about the world of COVID and shots is like, yeah, not now.
Fair enough. Yeah, I want to acknowledge the piece of art that is behind you, Marcia.
Okay.
So, in maybe just a few minutes, we'll get back to it. But I just wanted to kind of facilitate the panel discussion so that everyone has an opportunity to express themselves, perhaps ask some questions. We can have back and forth banter. That's totally cool. Does anyone else have anything else to say? Sirka, Sean, Nancy?
Yeah. So many things and so many thoughts. And I'm so happy to hear all of your guys' point of view. And I resonate with it a lot. And I totally understand what you're talking about, Marcia, the 3 seconds, like coming from that tuned in centered space, and someone asks you a question, boom, you know immediately what the answer is, right? And I'm the same way. I'm not, I don't feel for getting the vaccine at all. I feel like, no, that's definitely not for me. But there's no hard feelings against any. I have best friends who are like, so happy that they got the vaccine, and they feel like their life is getting better just by getting the shots, right? And I love that for them. I love that they feel like that. Totally do, because I believe that they know what's best for them. I can't go in and tell them what's best for them, right? And I feel like with this pandemic, like we talked about in an earlier panel discussion, that the year has really brought in this solitude and this like tune in with yourself, tune in with who are you, get to know yourself, your feelings, your energy, your thoughts, your ebbs and your flows, like we talked about earlier, like when you're really going down and when you're really spinning, and really getting to know yourself. And by really getting to know yourself, you can also better answer, well, what's best for me and what's not best for me. And what I would love to see in the world when we think about the new normal, like I think normal is overrated too. Who said that? Was that Derek? Or like, because everything does changes all the time, right? But when we look out there, what I wish for and what I dream about is that we all can really honor each other's knowledge and each other, and how wise we are when we tune in. And that if someone out there says, I want to do this for me, then we trust that person knows what's best for them. And maybe they learn through trial and error. Maybe they learn that, yes, that's what's the best for them. Or maybe they learn that, you mentioned something else. What was that again? Did you do Qigong or something? Right? But when people feel the call to change, they will start researching, and then they will find maybe a Marsha Qigong artist coach, and it will go, oh, yes, I resonate with that, right? But they won't start looking until they realize I need change. I need something new in my life because I'm kind of not where I dream of being. So that's what I dream about in this or like what's called, after past pandemic situation, that we can all really honor that, you know best what's best for you, and I know what's best for me, rather than point fingers and try and get each other to do things because we believe that that's the best. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Brilliant.
That was really sweet.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Sukha. Okay, can I also just one more second before Marsha? I mean, you need to explain that more. We didn't come to the point, and I so apologize, Lama, and I worked a little bit longer, but I want to have the opportunity to know more about your art then as well. What I wanted to say is that even though I'm not liking the vaccination, if I want to go to Germany, where my family resides, I am challenged right now. I'm grandma, freshly, I haven't seen my baby yet, right? So I'm now challenged. What am I doing, So first of all, I had the mindset of, nah, don't want it, but then to see my resistance. And I worked with my resistance to it, and I realized the father of the baby, my oldest son, asked me, what? You don't want to come? You don't want to get the vaccines? And I said, no, let me work with that, right? So, and I came to the point that sometimes there are situations life brings I can't avoid. They are as they are, life comes and it's what it is. So now, am I enough in my center? Am I able to neutralize the negativity that I spin on and take this as it is and bring it in as it is? Am I able to neutralize the negativity that spins around? I am probably give it a try and let you guys know what will happen. So in order to be not, because what we do not see, I think, or I didn't see that much, society is the canvas where we are present ourselves to it. So without each other, if you do this great work, nobody would know about it. If we wouldn't have each other. So everyone starts to come to this point, probably somehow to a degree, or Marsha, with your beautiful art, nobody would know about that. We wouldn't be able to share those things that this, our conscious ability to present itself in form of a work. And so what we need to understand more and more, I feel, is that we are part of that society. And we all share in that sense. And that's also, I want to, more share and just be quiet, except here when we talk about it, right? So be more quiet in like my family and see how they deal with it and how they do it, and just let them do it and be okay with how it comes,
Interesting.
Right on. Yeah, Derek, you had something to say.
Well, yes, Simone. Feel for you with the traveling and your grandbabies. I know you want to hold them in your arms, and that's important. And it brings to mind to me, I don't want a vaccine. I feel like my immune system is strong and I'm pretty good to go. So I don't feel like I need it. But on the other hand, I'm not necessarily convinced that there's some distinct reason I shouldn't have it either if it came down to traveling. I think that's you don't need it on one hand unless you want to travel, and then you need it to travel. Is there some compelling reason why you shouldn't get it and not travel? Or is it just you feel like you don't need it because you're strong and healthy and your body's good to go anyway? If you're strong and healthy, you can probably tolerate the vaccine too.
It's that value, it's that prioritize your values again, right? Like it's the grandbabies, because I'm in this exact same situation as you, Simone. I can't go to Denmark, I would need a vaccine, right? in order to get in anywhere in the country. And my mom is getting married. So I'm like, what are we gonna do? So I totally get it. So for me, it's like really sitting down and what are my values? Like, do I really prioritize my own my health and my body over the hug from my mom and seeing her getting married? You know, it's like, so that's what I know how you feel. I'm definitely feeling it too. So yeah, lots of work to be done there.
Yeah, and that's where coaching comes really handy. We basically have to sort out what our values are, and then as we understand our priorities, we become our decisions become much more clear, much more confident. We don't hesitate, we don't procrastinate, nor do we beat ourselves over something wrong that we decided just a little bit ago. We basically are clear about our path if we know the energies that inform us and support us along the journey. So that's basically one of the main reasons why we practice coaching. What do you think, Nancy, about all of this?
Yeah, you know.
You think something?
Yeah, what they all said. You know, right. You know, I mean, is the question about just the pandemic or what?
What is the new normal gonna look like from your point
well,
of view?
I pray. I mean, what I pray the new normal is hopefully radically different than anything else. I think that the pandemic helped flesh out human beings' interaction and with each other, with themselves, and with the earth. There was go get some water. I can go. He's not going to get water. Go get some water. And there was a movie. One of my clients said it was like Apple put out, it was like an hour movie or somebody put out an hour movie. I forget the name of it. And it was like literally all across the earth response to humans just taking a chill pill, time out. It's like, go to your corner. It's like Mother Nature is like, go to your corner, sit there, think about it, stop, right? It's like when a child is all crazy. It's like, but you're crazy. You just had all that sugar, whatever. So it's like, you go calm down, sit down, think about it. So for me, I hope the new normal is nothing that we've had before. I'm hoping the new normal is more of a drive. Like we kind of had a timeout. Hopefully many people needed it. Actually, I personally love the pandemic. Overall, I mean, you know, and just, it was kind of like, you know, an awareness check. And so I'm hoping with that awareness check, there's less debate of human activity in earth and human activity in nature, and more of a, oh, whoa, we don't have to debate here. Look, this just happened. And now humans love to observe. And now we get to observe. Like it took, 2 weeks for the air in India to clear so the people could see the Himalaya mountains. So we've been at this for how long? And it only took 2 weeks. I know the air around here in Beaverton, Oregon cleared up pretty awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can see all the mountains again. I mean, it's getting kind of congested here. And with people. So, and not just with the humans in nature, but everything. I think just that big pause is essential. It's like the yang activity of busyness and of course, Derek, the pull of being with people, right? And being in community and the concerts and everything. And it's like, and then all of a sudden you're into yin, you're into the yin, you're into the dark, you're into the quiet, you're into the stillness, right? And now we're slowly getting on that edge of, we have a choice now of how much yin do we want to be in, how much yang do we want to be in, and how do we navigate, right? I'm just kind of seeing like the yin yang symbol, and there's the black and the white, and that kind of, there's that space, right, where black meets white, you know? And we're, I think, right there, and I think we have an opportunity now to really, we've been sent to the corner, you know? we've had our time out, and everybody had it. It wasn't like one nation against another. It was like all over the world. There's no way we can say we aren't all one being here now. We're all one species now. And we all, I hope, can what will get created in this new normal is new language around how we interact with that like unarguable awareness, like the crap of blaming other countries and other cultures and who's polluting more and who's throwing in the garbage and all of that goes away. It's like, yeah, your planet, my planet. Yeah, your people, my people. Yeah, we're all here and everything everyone does matters. And so that's what I'm hoping for the new normal, is that it actually shifts conversation, it shifts our institutions, it shifts travel, even it shifts everything. And I have a strong feeling, even though of course we're social, like it feels really good to touch. I'm a massage therapist, right? It's like, I love touching and receiving touch. It's excellent information also, right? And the need that we are social, we love to, you know, have families and our babies are on us and everything. We are very tactile creatures, for sure. And at the same time, to feel so connected to others without skin on skin, right? Or without the same presence, to me, for me anyway, it's shifted tremendously. Like I feel so much more closer to my friends than ever before, like so much more love, so much more peace, even oxytocin rises. I just think of my best girlfriend, right? Because the one thing about the pandemic is you can't take anything for granted anymore, right? We so took everything for granted and then it gets taken away from you. It's like, you know, okay, child, you've done something wrong, so I'm going to take away your favorite toy. And the child's like, no, not my favorite toy, you know? And it's like, and all of a sudden it's not just his favorite toy. It's like, I want that toy, you know? And it shifts it. And so, so during the pandemic, we were in my life anyway, and my friends that I, you know, family, people that I love very much, were so busy. You know, we talk to each other once every 5 years or something, right? Because we're in different countries and cultures and counties. And like, we were like, I'm talking to you every single day until I can't talk to you anymore. And it was funny. It was just like, So instead of, it's like, I guess for me, what came up personally, the new normal is I guess I'm shifting level of busyness to level of connection. And even though I still can't touch my friends and hold them and kiss them and dance with them and party with them and whatever we do, right? It's like, we're so close. Like the love is even stronger. Like the oxytocin is even greater. Like it's just, so I think we're evolving.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, and I think that what we needed before is shifting, and we can still, as humans, still receive that connection, still get the hormonal shift, get that thing that makes us feel really good when we're with people and we brush up against each other. Like, it's just that it's like the chi body, like the different bodies that we have. I mean, we don't stop at the skin. We don't. We just don't. And as we develop more and more and more of our kinesthetic capacity to feel each other, not through our skin, that grows and becomes, to me, just as tactile as if I'm getting touched by my skin. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now. It's just crazy. So anyway, so that's it. Kind of a
Thank you.
wordy.
Well,
That's a totally interesting perspective. I think I see it very polar from what I do, because I communicate with people all day for a living. I'm on the phone all day. That's what I do, pandemic or no pandemic. And I treasure the times when I get to go out and be close to people and share that energy and that touch. And for me, that's a break. And I can see for you, maybe it's more work because that's what you do all day.
Yeah.
It's just, it's interesting the way the perspectives are different. No rights or wrong, just cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to comment on what
Yeah, please do.
Nancy was saying. I think that the change is most definitely a connectedness, and it's a relatability. So what I've noticed is like I'm looking for more of what I can relate to in regards to just like going back to basics, like inner nature. What are people going through that I can relate to? And then, we, just like what Simone said, is that it's up to us to kind of share our gifts, right? So if I'm going through something, it's up to me to be vulnerable enough to go out there and speak and talk about it, so that people don't just see you as like two-dimensional characters. Because right now we're relying so much on outside resources that promote like this dualistic mindset, like you were talking about, Lama. Like so much like news, media, conventional systems are asking us to just like they're basically pitting us against each other. That's, I mean, it's at least what I see, and that's why I don't really follow very much of like current events on like, you know, conventional media. But we're actually, again, like when Nancy was saying, we're actually asked to kind of like look at nature and maybe take a page out of its book and say, yeah, go home, start to go within, take a look at what's currently coming up for you, you know, so you're not constantly just, you know, the truth is out there somewhere, you know, you're looking outside of yourself and you're constantly looking at all the different, you know, media sources and not your own resources. You know, nature is flourishing, and our own inner nature can flourish as well. It's got an opportunity to do that if we're able to look within. And personally, my challenges came up when I injured myself, and not only was this pandemic going on, but I was stuck at home. So I had so much shame come up. I felt imposter syndrome. How am I supposed to be able to help others if I'm just half a man? You know, that's what it like literally felt like. But really, it was. I was able to like reevaluate my values. I was able to slow down. I was able to make sure I'm in alignment with my values. How can I make the greatest impact with people? How can I allow myself to be vulnerable in social media, which was the biggest hurdle, I think, for me, was being able to put myself out there. But once I did that, I discovered like, wow, there's a lot of people that could use this right now, because right now people they're getting very depressed, you know, they're stuck at homes. And if we can say, hey, yeah, it's okay, I get depressed too. No way, you get depressed? You know, like, yeah, well, we all go through our ebbs and flows, right? And relating to that, you know, inner nature, that, yeah, once we stay quiet for a while, once we go within, once we tune in to what is going on with us currently and slow down, then we can have something truly to connect with and relate to.
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome, Sean. That was a brilliant reminder about the rediscovery of our inner nature, and also remembering how nature flourishes. I'm looking at Ambika, and she's a nature girl.
Hey, look at that.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Hi. This is like we're not just talking about nature and
Yes, I'm in nature.
Indoors. You are in the jungle.
I walk in and you guys are talking about nature. I'm in the wild. I'm in the jungle and the forest by the water. I'm doing my retreat here, and you guys are just. I walk in and you're like, wow, okay, perfect.
Yeah. So this is like combining the best of both worlds, the nature and still
Yeah, so you're right.
with the
This is
people
my retreat
on
place.
the side of the world.
Yeah.
I want to be there.
Yes.
You're gonna make us dizzy if you just keep on spinning like that. All right. Well, so tell us a little bit about what you have in mind about the new normal. Obviously, things on your end side of the pond are somewhat different from in America or in Europe. So share with us a little bit about what is going on in your world and also in your mind.
Yes, I'm here in Hong Kong. Yes, I'm here in Hong Kong in China. Yes, and yeah, things here we never have a lockdown here, but the wearing a mask is really highly imposed, and social distancing. But within all of that, my community here managed to still gather together. We are still have our freedom to go to nature and held retreats and workshops and gathering like this. For us, the new normal is just because people here in Hong Kong are so used to traveling. Yes, Hong Kong is such a transient city, and no one really stay here. But Hong Kong is well known to be a city that is just mainly for business. People are passing through. They stay for 2 days, and as Hong Kongers, we work so hard but because we know that once a month or twice a month we get to go to neighboring countries or Europe or to the US. But now what's happening is that because we couldn't travel anymore, we begin to explore the beauty of what Hong Kongs really have to offer. Now people are beginning to expand and really discover their own city. I get so surprised each time a student of mine or a friend would say, "Hey, have you been to this hiking trail? Have you been to this waterfall on that side of Hong Kong and that side of Hong Kong?" And each time I share photos with my family and friends in social media, they cannot believe that Hong Kong has got these waterfalls and has got this beautiful mountains and hiking trails, and because Hong Kong is famous for city line and skyline and busy, buzzing cities, but it's not really. It's only Hong Kong is 75% natural park, and because of the pandemic, what is the beauty that it brought us is that we begin to discover our own city, the beauty of our own city. It become more alive. We begin to cultivate this sense of community because we never really have it here because of the diverse of multiple nationalities here, and it's the city is so transient. We begin to really go inward, go in, turn to each other, ask each other, hey, how can we help each other, how can we build more communities that bringing people together, especially on this pandemic when people couldn't gather together. How can we help and support each other in this important time? So we will begin to do some trekking retreat and camping retreat and hiking, and we'll discover a new trails, new waterfalls, all villages. So before, when Hong Kong go
Uh,
Oh, she froze.
from the inside, so that is really beautiful.
wow.
Yeah, so I was saying that before we Hong Kong, we go out of the country and we explore the other part of the world. But now, because of the pandemic, we go in and we expand from the inside by connecting and exploring and just gathering, and the connection are even more deeper this time. It's even more deep and more into heart connection, because Hong Kong has been famous to very fast-paced city. Everybody is rushing. They're rushing to eat, they're rushing to watch movie, they rush to go from place to B. But now it's like,
Russian.
He said, I thought they were Chinese, not Russian.
yeah, but we're taking time we're pausing, we're looking at each other's eye, we're breathing, we're going into nature, we're looking at the butterfly, we're listening at each other. So yeah, this has become the new normal, which is actually, it shouldn't be, it should be the way of life, but it is what it is right now. So this has been the gift here, that I've been really witnessing, that how Hong Kong is transforming because of the pandemic.
Fascinating. Well, obviously, we also hear about other aspects of transformation happening in Hong Kong that the federal Chinese government is trying to take over and impose some of the Communist Party rules and laws. So
Yes.
there may be pros and cons to this transformation.
Yes.
However, who knows? Maybe there are some positive outcomes that are possible, even that we don't know about.
Yes.
I don't want to say that everything is bad about Chinese government, because there are probably some benefits to it as well. We just don't know much about those.
Yes, absolutely. What I'm seeing here is that my local community, my local friends, they just what they're saying is that if they couldn't do anything, they just turn to each other and really strengthen the culture that they got used to, strengthen their connectivity within each other and bring that into an aliveness. Yes. They start these little pockets of community that sprungs in the different areas of Hong Kong to really to allow the old culture of Hong Kong survive. So this is how they are handling the situation to really they're coming together for those that they still want to maintain, the old culture that they grew up with, and they build something from that. They build cafes where people can gather, and restaurants, and they discuss there and they gather there, and that's about as much that they can do right now. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and are people beginning to pay more attention to Qigong practices? I hear that a lot of people in China are completely oblivious of Qigong. And so I wonder if there is any more interest in these type of well, well-being, self-healing arts, wellness practices than, for example, it used to be before the pandemic.
Well, actually just finished teaching just before coming here. I still did manage to teach. We were at the beach. We're doing our qigong practice and meditation, and it's so amazing because the students are waiting for me. I slept at the beach, and they were like this to me, "Teacher, are we gonna do qigong today?" I said, "Yes, let's do it. Let's breathe in this fresh, crisp air, this water, this ocean, this land. Even though across us is another man-made island being built for some oil refinery. Let's just enjoy what we have here." So yes, qigong
Wonderful
practice has
path.
been really,
Right.
yeah, qigong practice, wellness, well-being has been really, really becoming very important. Now people are really moving into their health and wellness, and really moving into making their new practice more of this mindfulness practice, meditation, because of what's happening in the world.
I see. Well, that's crucial. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
And I also want to be mindful that I asked Marcia about the piece of art behind.
Yay.
So
Thank
Marcia,
you.
would you care to take a minute and tell us exactly what happened there? But
Right.
we'll have to wrap up soon.
Yeah. So how many of you actually saw the end of my interview? Okay, so you will see at the end of the interview, I did the base for this drawing. So I won't replay the whole conversation of the interview, but I want you to notice how this thing changes when you're at a distance from it. So right now, it's just a lot of stuff from this distance. It's hard for your mind to grasp it all. Pick some spot on it, and I'm going to come closer and closer, so you can begin to see that there is a level of detail in this drawing that even in the face-to-face setting, you've got to get your nose up against it to see all the little parts that are there. Right? I can't get any really closer to the camera than that. Okay. I sent a picture of it to Lama. Hopefully he will be able to post it, or maybe a camera shot from this can be done. What this is, I'm calling this a chi glyph. So it's the energy from a conversation with Lama moved into the motions of lines. Like if you were dancing, you would have a line of motion. And this is just lines put onto a canvas. And then you let the shapes make themselves. So the color and the pieces make themselves. And at one distance, it might look chaotic. And then all of a sudden, your attention will catch on something right here. is a page out of Lama's book, handwritten into the middle of the painting.
No
Or
way.
Wow.
a paragraph, I will say, of the book written into the painting. So
Huh.
it's
That's
layer
amazing,
upon
Marsha.
layer upon layer of how life really is. It looks one way when you're looking at it from a distance. And then when you begin to examine what you're up to, things will become to refine and dance and connect and interchange. And you didn't see that coming. And where'd that come from? And that's the whole point of doing a chi glyph, having someone do it for you or doing it for yourself, is to explore all of those intertwined energies. And just so you guys know, I'm going to mail this to Lama. So
Yay.
this will be someplace
this-
in the world at some point. So
Is this what you started in the,
anybody listening on the big world out there would like to explore having something like this done? Under my name on the webpage is my email address. Please contact me. I will love to share how this came about.
Well, thanks, Marsha.
Well, thank you
Marsha, is
so
this
much.
the finished painting of what you did in your interview?
Yes.
Wow, I was thinking about what that would look like. That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It starts out in pencil as a great big scribble picture. And then, you know, I mean, it's such an analogy for life that maybe it's two people and you don't know when they first show up how they're going to interact. And the next thing you know, they're a music band. You didn't see that coming, you know, or they're sworn enemies, you know, you didn't see that coming. And what ties people together. It's like just, I love the psychology and the therapeutic aspect of expressing energy this way. And there's no way for any two to ever be the same.
Well, of course.
You know, so
You know,
anybody,
Marsha, it almost reminded me, my mind wanted to almost turn that into like a 3D. I don't know if you've seen like the metal art where it just looks like lines, right? But then
Yep.
as you drive past or walk past, all of a sudden it turns into a shape.
right, exactly.
So
Exactly.
that picture, it's like Rorschach test. It's like, I almost want to see like fish swimming in a stream, right? And then depending on my
And
energy, I might look at it again and see
Yep.
something else, right? Because
That's the fun of it. And when you see it live, you'll see that there are places in it where it's shadowed. So what looks like it's flat on the surface then looks like it's sitting on top of the next thing, which couldn't be true because the tip of that is sitting on the top of this and it's shadowed. And so it's like it makes your
whoa.
what has to be true just has to go out the window because we do get fixated on how it should be in life. And one of my favorite sayings in my classroom was, you know, your life will get easier when you quit shooting on yourself. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Be
Well,
with-
that's really, really impressive. So thank you for creating this piece of art and sharing. And we're going to have some serious fun in our future Qigong coaching clinics. We're going to have more summits like these, and we'll have more opportunities for all of you guys to get featured. And for those folks who are watching this video, you are going to be so amazed by the capabilities and the potential that you will discover within yourself when you start exploring Qigong coaching, receiving Qigong coaching, and potentially also learning how to use that as a professional yourself. Because we actually have a Qigong coach certification program that you may be able to enjoy. Before you try to become a certified Qigong coach, do receive coaching yourself. That's something that's imperative. I understand that it may be exciting to jump into the opportunity to become a Qigong coach, but I actually see that it's absolutely imperative to receive coaching first. So that's something that I would encourage you to do. And we're going to have both individual coaching and group coaching programs available to all the participants of this event. In fact, we're going to offer 50% off discount for all online courses and all the group coaching programs. Not individual coaching programs. I cannot speak for individual coaching programs because each of the coaches will be deciding how much to charge, but I can say that the group coaching programs are going to be discounted by 50% till the end of this month. So if you're watching this and you want to join, this is going to be an amazing opportunity to join at the half of the regular price for a group coaching program. Now, we also are going to continue our program. We have several more episodes, several more interviews that are coming up. So let's disband and watch those and enjoy.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.